It was beautiful, right? It was good. He walked in and we put on his music, right? It was great. Great guy. He's coming December 5th to perform at the White House for some of the people. If the cabinet members are good, if they're doing a good job, we'll let them come along with some others, right? We're going to have a good time. December 5th. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to be with a very strong leader, a man who has been through a lot, and a man who I've gotten to know very well, and we've gotten along really very well. And we had a big call yesterday, as you know, with President Putin, and we'll be talking about it. President Zelensky of Ukraine has endured a lot. I mean, he really has. He's endured a lot. And we've endured it with him. To be honest, it's been a long time, and I think we're making great progress. So we're going to be talking about that today. We'll be talking about what took place yesterday with my phone call with President Putin. And I think that things are coming along pretty well. It began with Alaska, where I think certain guidelines were discussed, and we want to see if we can get this done. This was long ago into the Biden administration. I came here and we inherited this, and we'd like to see if we could finish it, end it. We want it ended. So many people have died in this war, and we're going to get it ended. So I just want to thank you all very much. If you have a couple of questions, go ahead. In fact, before I do that, let me just ask the President to say a few words. Thank you, President.
Primeiramente, eu gostaria de pedir ao presidente
thank you very much for the invitation. Again, my congratulations with your successful ceasefire in the Middle East.
Parabéns.
Yeah, and you did it. And I think this is the momentum to finish Russia's war against Ukraine. I think that we understand that Putin is not ready. I think not ready, but I think that I'm confident that with your help we can stop this war. And we really need it. We see that they don't have successful steps on the battlefield, and it's good. I think that their army is weak now, but a lot of losses. They have a lot of losses. Economy and people. And I think this is a very important moment. And I wanted to thank you, Mr. President, after our phone calls. Yesterday I had a good opportunity to meet with the big American energy companies. They're ready to help us. Yes, after all these attacks on our infrastructure, Russian attacks, and I had also meetings, thanks to your team, we had meetings with good military companies. We spoke about air defense, and I want to share it after with details where we are. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And I think it looks beautiful in his jacket.
Yeah?
It's beautiful. I hope people notice. It's a good. It's actually very stylish. I like it.
Yeah,
please go ahead.
É muito estiloso. Eu gosto. Muito obrigado.
Was fearing of a possible escalation. They were not allowing the Ukrainians to strike into Russia, fearing of this escalation.
Quanto à escalada,
Would your administration allow Ukrainians to strike deep into Russia?
We're going to be talking about that. That's something we'll be talking about. You're right. It's an escalation, but we'll be talking about that.
Mr. President.
Agora se trata da escalada, mas nós vamos
Because
falar sobre isso.
it's a leader that we like. We like Viktor Orban. He likes him. I like him. It's a country that's a safe country. Done a very good job. He's been a very good leader in the sense of running his country. He doesn't have a lot of the problems that other countries have. And so we've decided that we'll be going to be with Viktor Orban, and he will, I think, he'll be a very good host.
President
Yeah, it's in Hungary, yeah. We're doing Hungary, yeah.
Sim, nós estaremos em Hungria.
To be determined, but I would say most likely it's going to be a double meeting. It'll be a double meeting, but we will have the President Zelensky in touch. There's a lot of bad blood with the two presidents. And I'm not speaking out of turn when I say it. It's a very difficult situation. we just
Teve
settled the
muita
war
coisa ruim
after
entre esses
thousands
dois
of years, I
presidentes,
guess.
mas não posso falar
People
sobre
say
isso agora, é uma situação
anywhere from
muito
500 to
difícil.
3,000
Nós
years. And
tentamos
I was in
acabar com
rooms,
essa
as you
guerra.
saw, because you were with me, a lot of you were with me last week, with leaders that didn't like each other, but they were able to get along.
E eu estava com as pessoas
These two leaders do not like each
que não
other.
gostam um do
And
outro, mas eles
We
precisam
want to make it
conversar.
comfortable
Eles não
for
gostam
everybody.
um de
So
outro.
one way or the
Nós
other will
queremos que
be
todo mundo
involved
esteja
in
confortável.
threes,
E de
but
uma
it may
forma
be
ou outra,
separated.
ele vai participar. Possivelmente nós vamos separar esses encontros.
We'll see what? Where are you from? Okay, good. Good, yeah.
De onde você é? Ah, tudo bem.
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, what if? I think he will. I think that President Putin wants to end the war, or I wouldn't be talking this way. I think he wants to end the war. I spoke to him yesterday for 2.5 hours. We went through a lot of details. He wants to get it ended. I think that President Zelensky wants to get it ended. Now we have to get it done.
And although I love asking you questions, my question is for President Zelensky.
Sure. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Our President Zelensky, President Trump, just brokered a peace deal in the Middle East that all Americans, both sides of the aisle, are very proud of. But to meet that deal, both sides have to make concessions. Our president has stuck out his neck in many ways to make a peace deal for your war as well. What specific concessions are you willing to make to end this war with Russia? Will you give up joining NATO? Americans have foreign war fatigue, and our president, as he said, we need our Tomahawks too. Está pronto para ceder.
To me.
Yes, you, President Zelensky.
Thank you very much.
That's some question.
So many questions in one. Thank you very much for your question. First of all, I think we need to sit and speak. The second point, we need ceasefire. Even now, you see in the Middle East, it's very difficult to hold ceasefire. Everywhere, in every war, it's very difficult. We want peace. Putin doesn't want. That's why we need pressure on it. We will speak with President today what we need. We understand what we need to push Putin to negotiation table. And as I said previously, so we are ready to speak in any kind of format, bilateral, trilateral, doesn't matter. Matter just peace. This is important. And we don't speak about NATO or NATO. For Ukrainians, it's very important. Of course, it's our decisions of allies to decide where we are.
But are you willing to get
yes, but the most important thing for people in Ukraine, which are under each day's attack, to have really strong security guarantees. NATO is the best, but weapon is very important. Allies on our side is very important, and between us, for us, bilateral security guarantees between me and President Trump is very important. I don't know, we didn't speak with details about it, but this is the most important document, because the United States is very strong.
Sir, President Trump, you are the middleman right now, hoping to end this conflict. Who is doing a better job negotiating, President Zelensky or President Putin?
I think they're both doing a great job in that sense. We have to get it done. We've got to take some of the hatred of each other. They don't like each other. I say that in front of President Zelensky, but I say it in front of President Putin too. They have tremendous bad blood. It really is what is holding up, I think, a settlement. I think we're going to get it done, and we have to make it long-lasting. As I said in the Middle East, everlasting, right? Everlasting. And the Middle East is a much more complicated situation. We had 59 countries involved, and every one of them agreed. And it's sort of amazing. Most people didn't think that was doable. This is going to be something I really believe that's going to get done. I had a very good talk yesterday with President Putin. I think he wants to get it done.
And President Zelensky, right behind you. When we were in Israel with President Trump earlier in the week, we heard a lot about the difference in diplomacy between President Trump and President Joe Biden before him. What do you see as the biggest difference in diplomacy between President Trump and President Biden?
Diplomacia do presidente Trump e do presidente Biden. Qual é essa diferença?
Has a big chance now to finish this war. President Biden now
tem
is not
chances
the
muito
president,
grandes
so
de
he doesn't have a
acabar com
chance
essa guerra,
to
e o
finish
presidente
this
Biden não
war.
é o presidente,
And
então
President Trump
ele não
is
tem
really
nenhuma possibilidade de
showed
terminar com essa guerra. E
for
o
the world
presidente Trump
that he can manage ceasefire in Middle East, and that's
mostrou
why I hope that he will do
e
this,
ele
and we will
conseguiu
also have such big success. For Ukraine, it's a big chance,
conseguiu
and
cessar
I hope that
fogo
President
no
Trump
Oriente
can manage
Médio.
it.
I would say the biggest difference is one is extremely competent and the other one is grossly incompetent.
Sir, a few weeks ago in New York when you two met, you said that you think Ukraine could ultimately take back all the territory that it's lost so far. Do you still think that's the case, or do you think there'll have to be some sort of
You
swap
never
of
know.
territories?
Look, you know, war is very interesting. You never know, do you? You just never know. With war and peace, but you never know. Please.
A guerra e paz é difícil, mas você nunca sabe se vai conseguir ou não.
Yeah. Who are you with? Who are you with? You Ukraine? Good.
But Russia continue even using the cruise missiles and also nuclear capable ballistic missiles.
Usando foguetes, mísseis balísticos que são capazes de transportar ogivas nucleares. Você pode oferecer à Ucrânia, está pronto para oferecer à Ucrânia Tomahawk ou outros mísseis para igualar essas chances? Sim, nós vamos falar sobre isso, por isso estamos aqui.
But we're going to be talking about it. Okay? Yeah, please.
E nós vamos falar sobre isso.
You said India and
Nós
Hungary?
vamos discutir essa
That's an interesting. India and Hungary. It's an interesting combination. Huh?
Índia e Hungria é uma combinação muito interessante.
Well, India is not going to be buying Russian oil anymore.
Sim,
And Hungary is sort of stuck because they have one pipeline that's been there for years and years and years, and they're inland. They don't have sea. They don't have sea. And I spoke with
eles usavam o mesmo
the very
gasoduto, eles
great
não têm
leader
mar, é
of
país que
Hungary,
não
and
tem acesso
they
ao mar,
are, you know, it's very hard for them to get oil. I understand it.
mas tem uma
We
pessoa
have
muito boa
Hungary's in
na
a very
frente desse
interesting
país.
position because
É
they
muito
can't have
difícil.
ports. You know, they're
A Hungria
surrounded by
está em uma
land.
situação muito
So we'll see what
delicada,
happens there. But India
porque
will not be buying
eles não
oil
têm
from Russia.
portos, eles estão
And,
cercados
they've
por
already
terra.
de-escalated,
A Hungria
and they've
possivelmente
more or
não
less
vai
stopped.
comprar
They're pulling back.
petróleo da
They bought
Rússia.
about 38% of the oil, and they won't be
Eles
doing
estão
it anymore.
falando sobre
President Trump has been helping you in achieving peace in
compras de
Ukraine.
Who has?
petróleo, eles não
First
vão
Lady
fazer
Melania
mais isso.
Trump
Yeah.
has been helping in returning abducted Ukrainian children from Russian captivity. President Zelensky, do you appreciate those efforts? How do you assess them? And did you ask her to step in to help you?
No, she wanted to do it. She felt very strongly about the children, and she's done a really good job, I think, in
Nós estamos
bringing it to the fore. You know, we have a lot of children
pelas suas
involved. Now,
ações em relação
it's
às crianças,
some people say it's 20,000, and some people say it's 300. There's a big difference between that, so nobody really knows. But
provavelmente
she felt very strongly about the children. She thinks about the children all the time.
If you okay Tomahawks to Ukraine, what's going to happen if the United States is in a conflict and we need the Tomahawks? Do we
Well,
have
that's
Estados
the problem.
Unidos.
We need Tomahawks, and we need a lot of other things that we've been sending over the last
Sim, nós
4 years
precisamos
to Ukraine. We've
desses
been,
mísseis
you know,
e
we
muitas
gave
outras
them a
coisas.
lot. Now we have a different situation. We send it to the European Union. They pay for it and all that, and they have plenty of money.
Mas estamos na
But
outra situação agora,
it's beyond the money. You know, we need Tomahawks, so we need a lot of other weapons that we're sending to Ukraine. One of the reasons we want to get this war over is exactly that. It's not easy for us to give. You're talking about massive numbers of very powerful weapons. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about. Hopefully they won't need it. Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about Tomahawks. I think we're fairly close to that. Yeah, go ahead. President, yeah, please.
Just to understand.
Eu acho
So
que estamos
for
perto.
today, of course, we want to finish this war, but the war is another technological
nós
war.
queremos acabar
You
com
don't
essa
use
guerra.
just Tomahawks. If you want
Existe também
to
guerra
target a
tecnológica, a
military
questão não
goal,
é só
you need
Tomahawk.
thousands of drones. It goes together. with such missiles. Ukraine has such thousands of our production drones, but we don't have Tomahawks. That's why we need Tomahawks. But United States is a very strong production, and United States has Tomahawks and other missiles, very strong missiles, but they can have our thousands of drones. That's why where we can work together, where we can strengthen American production.
Just so that I understand, so you're suggesting kind of a trade. If President Trump okays Tomahawk missiles to help you launch...
Yes, it's about military goals. It's only about military goals.
Right, but then you would authorize some kind of an exchange where...
Yes, of course. Yes, we have proposition. We have big propositions with our drones.
President Trump, I don't mean to be brokering an arms deal here, but is that something that you'd be interested in, Ukrainian drones?
We are, yeah, we would. We have a lot of drones right now. We build our own drones, but we also buy drones from others, and they make a very good drone. I mean, drone warfare has really come to the fore over the last couple of years because of this war. I will say, there's nothing like the jets. You know, we knocked out a lot of drones in Israel. We were knocking them out for Israel, and we were doing it with extremely fast and powerful jets, following the drones and knocking the hell out of them. So, you know, we know a lot about the drones, and we know a lot about the great jets, the great ones. The ones, well, and the B-52s, which were totally they were stealth. They were undetectable. So we have a lot of different weapons. And, you know, I have an obligation also, though, to make sure that we're completely stocked up as a country, because you never know what's going to happen. In war and peace, right? You never know what's going to happen. So we're going to be talking about Tomahawks, and we'd much rather have them not need Tomahawks. Would much rather have the war be over, to be honest, because, you know, we're in it to get the war over. We're selling a lot of different types of weapon, as you know, to the European Union. We're not in it for that. We're in it to get it over. We're losing thousands of people a week. Thousands of people. Russian, Ukrainian, and mostly soldiers. Mostly soldiers. But we're in it to see that end. And we can end quickly, and I think we can. I mean, I had a very good talk yesterday. We're going to be talking about it. But I had a very productive talk yesterday with President Putin. We'll see what happens. But the war in the Middle East was far more complicated. We got that one done. And I think we have a good chance. I think President Zelensky wants it done, and I think President Putin wants it done. Now all they have to do is get along a little bit.
Eu acho que o presidente Putin também. Então eles querem sentar na mesa.
Yeah, I will, and I'm going to let Scott do that. But I think we're doing very well. I think we're getting along with China. China would like to have something. As of this moment, we'll be meeting in a couple of weeks. We'll be meeting in South Korea. Myself. I think so. It looks like it's going forward. I think so. They want to meet. We like to meet. I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and we're going to see what happens. But, you know, for years we were taken advantage of by China very badly. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year to China. We really built their military, if you think about it. The kind of money that presidents allowed to be lost to China was just insane. And then when I came into office, as you know, I put very severe tariffs. So we took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my first term from China. Biden let that go because there was so much. He let it continue, but he gave all sorts of exceptions. And by the time you looked at it, Scott, I would say it wasn't the same thing. He would give an exception for anything. If you got up and went out to dinner, he'd give you an exception. So it wasn't the same thing, but I put on very serious tariffs. So we took in hundreds of billions of dollars, and then I left office. The election was rigged. I left office, and that was the story. Now I come back, and we are in a very strong position because of tariffs. We're in a very powerful position because of the fact that we have tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be in a very weak position. We would be in a weakened state. But with tariffs, we've made hundreds of billions of dollars, not only from China, but from others. And China wants to talk, and we like talking to China. So we have a very good relationship, and we're going to be meeting
negociações, nós estamos dispostos também.
And I just got back from a long trip. I'm going on another long trip. And Scott, you want to say a few words?
Eu voltei de uma viagem pouco tempo atrás e vou fazer mais uma viagem daqui a pouco.
China did a substantial, unprovoked escalation last
A China.
week. We were unable to get in touch with them. Since then, it's been IMF World Bank Week. They have had working level people here who there have been meetings. The Vice Premier, who is my counterpart, and I will be speaking this evening at around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then he and I in a delegation will
Eu vou conversar com isso hoje à noite, temos sobre isso hoje à noite também. Também na ligação na Malásia, pode ser que venha amanhã.
Again, I think that things had de-escalated. We hope that China will show the respect that we have shown them. And I am confident that President Trump, because of his relationship with President Xi, will be able to get things back on a good course.
Is the hope for that meeting with you and President
Graças
Xi
a
some kind of trade deal then?
Could be. Look, I think we're in a very strong position. I think we're in a very strong position. We're getting, as you know, as of November 1st, I could move it up if I wanted.
Como se sabe,
A 100% tariff over and above what we get now. So that would make it about 157%.
foram introduzidas as tarifas
And
de
China
100%.
doesn't
Agora
want that, and they want to talk.
pensando sobre
And we're talking, and I think we'll
157.
make a deal
Eles
that
não
will be good for
querem isso,
both. I
eles
think
querem
we will
negociar. Nós vamos
do
falar e
something,
eu
but you
acho
have to
que nós
understand,
vamos
we never got
conseguir
anything
chegar a
from China.
acordo
It was a
que
one-way
seja
street.
benéfico
For
para
many
ambos os
years, for
países.
decades, it was a one-way street.
Mas
And
nós
they
não
became
recebemos
rich
nada
because
da
of the
China.
United States. And frankly,
Foi tudo
presidents said,
unilateralmente.
let's be nice, they didn't know. They just didn't know.
E o
They didn't
presidente
understand what was
disse-
happening to them. But I understood it. I understood it long before I ran for politics. I used to watch in
Nós não
amazement at
entendemos
how
o que estava acontecendo,
stupid
mas eu
our
entendo o
country
que está
was, how
acontecendo.
stupid they were. And we're not stupid anymore.
E eu
And
estava
that includes with the
acompanhando
European Union, that
como
includes
o
with
nosso
Japan and
país
South Korea.
era,
All we want to do is
era
be
bobo,
treated
mas
fairly.
agora não somos
But
mais
the
bobos.
fairly is hundreds of billions and
Nós
even trillions of
queremos
dollars coming into the United
justiça, nós
States. And
queremos que
it's,
todo mundo
our
seja
national
justo em
security
relação a gente,
is secure
mas
because of tariffs.
o
If we
justo
didn't
é
have
que agora
tariffs, we would have no
a
national
nossa
security.
segurança
So it's very important.
nacional é garantida graças a tarifas. Se não tivéssemos essas tarifas,
I'll be discussing
não
that, but I'd love
teríamos
to see
segurança
it ended before that.
Nós vamos
I
falar
mean,
sobre
I
isso,
think we
mas
have a
eu
chance of
quero
ending the war quickly
que isso
if
tudo acabe
flexibility
antes. Eu
is
acho que
shown
nós temos
on
chances
behalf.
de
And
acabar com a
again,
guerra
we're not losing
rapidamente.
people. The United States is not. We're not losing people. We're not
Nós não
spending money. We're getting
perdemos
paid for the,
pessoas.
ammunition
Os Estados
and
Unidos
missiles
não
and everything
perde
else that we're
sua
sending
gente. Nós
to
não
the
gastamos dinheiro.
European Union,
A
but
União
to
Europeia
NATO.
que paga
But it's
por
very
armamentos.
similar. If you look at the countries, I mean, it's very
E a
similar.
OTAN.
And we just made a very fair trade deal with
Mas
the
isso é
European
muito
Union.
parecido.
And what we wanted, and we made a very good deal with NATO too. You know, they pay for all of this.
Agora
That's
assinamos
not what we're in
acordo
this for.
muito
We're in it to
justo
save
com a União Europeia.
thousands
Eles que
of
estão
lives
pagando tudo
every
isso.
week. Thousands and thousands of lives.
importante
That's why we're in it.
salvar milhares
And I
de
think
vidas.
we have a very,
Mas é importante
I think we have a
salvar
very
essas
good chance
vidas.
of bringing this war
Eu
to a
acho que
conclusion.
nós temos boas chances
President,
de
your cabinet
acabar
has
com
done
essa
honestly
guerra.
an
Assim.
excellent job. I think that a lot of people could agree to that.
Thank you.
I'm speaking as someone who lost my father in a war, so I know the human cost. What would your advice be to American
eu
leaders,
sei
to world leaders, to neocons, to TV hosts
como é perder uma
who
pessoa
often speak about
próxima,
conflict in
mas o
abstract
que
or
você
strategic
diria a
terms,
outros
rather
líderes
than the
que
human
sempre
cost
falam
in human terms? Like
Look,
you have.
my only statement is
conflito.
we have to get together. It's a very small group of people. It's the president, and the president. Okay, three presidents. And I'm the mediator president.
Trata-se de
And I'm
três
mediating not an
presidentes.
easy
Eu
situation.
sou
It should be
presidente
easy,
mediador.
but it's a lot
E eu
easier
agora
when
estou tentando
people understand
regular
each
uma
other,
situação
when they get
muito
together, and when they like each
difícil.
other. We don't
Muito mais
necessarily
fácil
have
quando
that
as pessoas
situation
se
as far as
entendem
like is
bem,
concerned.
gostam
Maybe it
de um
can
ou
turn
outro,
around, maybe it
mas
can.
agora a situação
But
é
in the
diferente,
meantime,
tudo é mais difícil.
we'll have them keep a
Pode
little bit of
ser
distance, and we're going to
que
see if
vai
we
dar
can get
certo.
it done. This
Virar essa
is
situação.
number 9, okay? This will be
Vamos
number
ver o que
9
vai acontecer pela frente.
for me.
Pode
I've
ser que
solved 8,
nós
including the
consigamos, vai
Middle
ser
East.
o
I've
nono
solved 8.
conflito que eu consegui
This, I thought, would have
classificar,
been
inclusive,
among the
o Oriente
easiest.
Médio, que
We
foi
solved,
o oitavo.
President Putin mentioned yesterday Armenia, all of the different wars, he said it was amazing because but the big one that he was surprised that we were able to settle was the Middle East. He thought it was incredible. He was very generous in that sense. This should be something we're able to settle. And I think we will be able to settle.
Ele foi muito generoso ao reconhecer os meus méritos.
Well, you know, we resolved 8 others. It's funny how people say that. If you get this one, every time I do one, they forget about that one. I solved 8 wars. Go to Rwanda and the Congo, talk about India and Pakistan, look at Thailand, look at all of the wars that we solved. And every time I solve one, they say, if you solve the next one, you're going to get the Nobel Prize. I didn't get a Nobel Prize. Somebody got it who's a very nice woman. Very nice. I don't know who she is, but she was very generous.
Próximo conflito no ano que vem você vai ganhar o prêmio Nobel.
I don't care about all that stuff. I just care about saving lives. But this will be number 9. But every time I solve one, they said, sir, if you solve one more, you're going to be known as a peacekeeper. So to the best of my knowledge, we've never had a president that solved one war. Not one war. Bush started a war. A lot of them start wars, but they don't solve the wars. They don't settle them. And especially when they're not, when they have nothing to do with us. I saw almost, I guess, just about all of these wars had nothing to do with us. But I saved tens of millions of lives. The Prime Minister of Pakistan said, I saved millions of lives in interceding on Pakistan, and you look at Pakistan and India as an example. That would have been a bad one, 2 nuclear nations, right? So I say this, this is pretty much the last one, although I do understand that Pakistan attacked, or there is an attack going on with Afghanistan. That's an easy one for me to solve if I have to solve it. In the meantime, I have to run the USA, but I love solving wars. You know why? I like stopping people from being killed. And I've saved millions and millions of lives. And I think we're going to have success with this war.
Nós salvamos milhares de vidas e milhões de vidas e fizemos isso com sucesso.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Muito obrigado.
This is your 3rd time here. How different sitting across from the president is this time versus the 2 previous times here at the White House, and how confident are you hearing the success rate of solving these prior wars that he can get this war solved?
First of all, about suit.
Agora,
the same suit because the same president.
Primeiramente,
very simple.
Quanto
the next president will have another suit.
A meu terno?
Yes, about our relations with President Trump. I think we have important dialogues,
relacionamento com o presidente Trump é assim. Do meu ponto de vista, o diálogo é a coisa mais importante. Nós conseguimos nos entender melhor.
Very well about situation in the battlefield, and he knows a lot what's going on in the battlefield in Ukraine.
O presidente sabe sobre a situação no campo de batalha e ele foi informado. E isso ajuda muito. E existem vários detalhes, várias coisas relacionados com uma outra guerra e tudo isso ajuda.
No, Spain has not come through. No, Spain has not been loyal to NATO. Spain has been, they're the only one. Everyone went up to, as you know, I mean, you were at 2% and they all went up to 5%, but Spain disagreed with that. I think Spain should be reprimanded for that. I think it's very bad that they did that, but that's up to them. That's up to NATO and Spain.
Eles podem enfrentar as consequências.
Can they or not?
They cannot, according to the treaty, but they also claim that they are protected by the European Union umbrella for trade.
Well, the other people, many of the other countries are in the European Union too. They're not complaining, right?
Muitos países da União Europeia
That's interesting. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sim, por favor, continue.
I do. Yeah, I do. I think we carry a lot of momentum, a lot of credibility. Getting Middle East done was very important. Nobody thought it could be done. That was one nobody thought could be done, and we got it done. And a lot of that was the big hit that we put on Iran with respect to the nuclear. They took, that was
Por
That was
exemplo,
an unbelievable military
programa
maneuver,
nuclear do
the
Irã.
B-2s, and many other planes involved, by the way, but the B-2s.
Foi
Yeah, I
uma
think nobody
manobra
expected
militar
that to
incrível.
happen, and you know, we had
Acho que ninguém
59
esperava
countries
que isso
involved, and these were
acontece.
countries very diverse. You had Arab, Muslim, Jewish, you had every kind of, you had every country, Christian,
países muito diferentes,
you had every
árabes,
country, and many countries
muçulmanos,
involved, and
judeus,
we got that done, and we got it done pretty swiftly after we
teve
set the
vários
table
países,
properly.
mas
We had to
nós
set the
conseguimos
table properly.
bastante rapidamente
This should be
fazer isso.
one that we get done, and I think the
Depois
table
de
is set
sentarmos
properly
na
here
mesa
now,
das
too.
conversações.
And it'll be a great honor. It'll be a great honor
Aqui
to
também
get it done.
devemos sentar na
And
mesa
the Ukrainian
das
people are great,
conversações,
and the
né?
Russian
É uma
people are
grande
great.
honra conseguir isso.
And
Os
obviously they have much in
ucranianos, os
common,
russos,
as we understand. They have a
são
lot in
pessoas muito
common.
boas.
So it'll be a great honor to get it done. Yes.
Então, para mim, vai ser uma grande honra acabar com essa guerra.
Well, I'll ask Marco to discuss that possibly.
Yeah, it's well known there's an ongoing
Eu pediria
narco-terrorist operation the United States has been conducting. As far as details of any recent strikes, we're not prepared here to announce all those details, but you'll get that information here very shortly.
Atrás teve ataques.
Yeah, again, I mean, we're undertaking these operations against narco-terrorists. That's what these are. These are terrorists. Let's be clear. And but as far as the details of any recent operations, when we are prepared to announce those, we will, as the president has consistently done. So you may get something on that later today.
Let me ask you, that was in a submarine, right? We attacked a submarine, and that was a drug-carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs. Just so you understand, this was not an innocent group of people. I don't know too many people that have submarines, and that was an attack on a drug-carrying, loaded-up submarine. Yeah.
Is it your belief, as Mr. Zelensky said yesterday, that the threat of Tomahawks and costs, as Secretary Hicks put it, is that bringing him to the table? The fact that it's kind of a carrot and a stick?
I don't know what's bringing him to. I think he wants to make a deal. That's all. I can't tell you what's bringing him. Sure, that's the threat of that is good, but the threat of that is always there. Tomahawks are very dangerous weapons. They're incredible weapons. If you like warfare, it's one of the most accurate. You know, we hit 30 Tomahawks in Iran after the B-2s did their damage. We sort of gave it a little capper with 30 Tomahawks from a submarine, quite far away actually. But they're an amazing weapon. They're a very powerful weapon, but they're a very dangerous weapon, and it could mean big, escalation. It could mean a lot of bad things can happen. Tomahawks are a big deal, but one thing I have to say, we want Tomahawks also. We don't want to be giving away things that we need to protect our country. We have a very strong country right now. We have a strong military. We have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. I want to get this war over.
Nós temos forças armadas maravilhosas, armas potentes. Eu só quero acabar com essa guerra.
I just heard about it, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. I just heard about that one. That's an interesting one. We'll have to think about that. I hadn't heard that. We just did a nice road in Alaska that's going to get us to a lot of minerals. So we have a piece of it, a good piece of the ownership because of the fact we made it possible. But this came up yesterday, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting. What do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea?
I'm not happy with this.
I don't think you're going to like it. I don't think you like it. I don't think you like it.
President Trump, do you think that Vladimir Putin, do you think that Putin is your gut instinct?
Well, we had a senator that wanted, remember, from Hawaii, she wanted a tunnel from the mainland to Hawaii. Then she said, well, we can't do that, so we're going to build a railroad to Hawaii. Do you remember? She's a current sitting senator, Democrat. She wants a railroad to go to Hawaii. Right? You know who that is, right? She's another beauty.
President Trump, your gut instinct.
Yeah, please.
On your meeting with Putin, aren't you concerned that maybe the Russian president is trying to buy himself more time?
Yeah, I am, but, you know, I've been played all my life by the best of them, and I came out really well. So it's possible, a little time, it's all right. But I think that I'm pretty good at this stuff. I think that he wants to make a deal. I made 8 of them. I'm going to make a 9th. I think he wants to make a deal. Well, I think that he should have won the war in a week. Yeah, I do think. And if we didn't give the anti-tank missiles, as you know, the javelins they call them, they got stuck in the mud. They would have been in Kiev very quickly. They were heading to Kiev. So, you know, in war you have a lot of luck too. You know, people, weather has won war, and the cold and the heat and all things take place in war. But that was a very interesting moment when the tanks started rolling, and some brilliant general said, "Let's go through the mud instead of going down the highway." So they got a little bit lucky. But you know where they really got lucky? I gave javelins. That wasn't given by Barack Hussein Obama. He gave them sheets. You know, there's a statement. Obama gave them sheets, and I gave them the javelins. And the javelins are devastating weapons. And that wasn't given by Obama. That was given by, because at the time it was Obama. That was given by me. So it was like one of those things. And you had hundreds of them. They're a devastating weapon. We have a lot of devastating weapons. I'd rather not use them. But that was a big moment. You know, when the tanks got stuck, they got stuck. And call it luck or call it talent. I'm not sure what you'd call it, but it was a big moment in time.
Do you think Democrats could give you
Pode chamar isso de sorte, mas foi muito oportuno.
I think right now the Democrats are really damaged, mentally damaged. They want to take $1.5 trillion and give it to people that invaded our country. They came into our country illegally from prisons, from mental institutions, gang members. They want to give them health care and take it away from our citizens. We're not going to do that. $1.5 trillion. They want to destroy our health care system. We're not going to let that happen.
Tirar das nossas cidadãs, eles queriam destruir o nosso sistema de saúde.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but some interesting things are happening around the world, I'll say that.
Mas agora no mundo inteiro acontecem coisas interessantes.
In his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Porque ele não quer brincar com os Estados Unidos. Obrigado a todos.